some various tools you're going to need for the valve adjustment on your scooter. A couple crescent wrenches, real small. You're going to need feeler gauges. You can buy them down at the auto parts store. Phillips head, socket, small socket to take the head off, and a couple other things, and you might need a kid here to help you too. This is gy6 engine on a Baron 150cc scooter. This is a retro scooter, as you can see. I've got it completely ripped apart. The cowling is completely off on the one side. I've removed my carburetor, I've replaced my carburetor, replaced my CDI, replaced my ignition coil, replaced my plugs, changed the gas, everything. This thing will start after about 5 minutes of cranking on it with the help of a battery starter charger, otherwise it drains the battery. Then it finally starts picking up, it starts going, and after it gets warmed up it'll start like a champ. So from what I've been reading on the forums, it's usually valve adjustment. And I have removed the valve cover. You can see that was on the front of the engine, and I'll show you where that's at. And there's 4 screws. There they are that come out. And I've got a light here, hopefully you can see. This right here is the internals underneath the valve cover. And I'll kind of use a laser pointer if I can. There's a timing mark right here. You see that? And let me show you where the rocker arms are at. The rocker arms are right here's one, and right here's one. Basically there's a camshaft in between here, and there's lobes on that camshaft. When this right here is your rocker arm for your exhaust valve. This one is a rocker arm for the intake valve, and right here is the adjustment. What you got to do is there's a nut on the top here. Loosen the nut on the bottom and tighten or loosen the nut on the top, and then tighten the big nut down as you're holding the top nut still. And you're going to use a feeler gauge in between here, and the same thing over here. Now to adjust these, you've got to get the cam in a position that is top. In other words, the top of that cam is closing the exhaust valve. That's when you want to check the gap on the intake valve, and vice versa. You reverse that process to check the exhaust valve. Okay, I'm going to stop the video and hopefully get a feeler gauge in there to see what this is set at. Okay, so here, I don't think you can see it, but this valve over here is the exhaust valve, is fully compressed. And if you took a look at the cam lobes, you can see that that rocker arm right there is at the top of its position. Rocker number 2, that's the exhaust valves. So it's compressing that spring. Now here's the perfect opportunity now to adjust this intake valve spring, and we do that by loosening this large nut right here. You can see the nut, and then the top screw basically is just a rod that goes up and down. That there's a gap in between it, and I'll show you where the gap is at. I can do it. Okay, here's the gap. Do you see it? Okay. Basically, you have a .0019 on a 150 scooter. You want to adjust that gap so you can just feel that. Hold that top screw with something like a crescent wrench, whatever, and then tighten the bottom nut really super tight when you get it to the right feel. And do the same thing on the other side. You have to change the cam lobe position so that this ring here is fully compressed, and then you have your valves adjusted.